All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us once again on Did You Know the ESCO HVAC Show? So we continue to talk about the transitions that our industry is making. By now, you should be very aware that we're really moving into a world that is driven by inverter technology. And as we're making refrigerant transitions, we're actually going to start looking at equipment for two different reasons. One, for equipment that is making new innovations, and one for what refrigerants we're going to be working with, particularly in the A2L realm. So let's spend a little bit of time today at my Midea's phenomenal showroom facility here in Queens, New York. And I'm telling you what, it is absolutely impressive. Many times when we look at equipment, we might see it in a photo or we might see it in a brochure, but how often do we actually get to walk up to it and take a look at it once it's installed and see it in a real environment? And so I highly encourage you to come by and take a look at the facility and spend some time getting to know the Midea team. So we were honored to be able to be invited here. David Rames was going to spend some time with us today. He's under the weather, but boy, do we have some special guests for you. So we're going to talk about a lot of these innovations and transitions that we're doing, and we're also going to spend some time on cold climate heat pumps, which, you know, I absolutely love what we're doing in the high capacity, low ambient temperature sector of heat pumps. So make sure in the chat, let us know where you're joining in from. And if you have questions along the way, we're here to answer them for you. You know, we're trying to prepare our classrooms. We're trying to make sure that you as educators have all of the resources, all the tools that you need. And this facility is one of those prime examples of connections that you will want to make. So not only is it a showroom and a distribution facility, it's also a training facility. And they're also doing additional training facilities like down in Kentucky at the other Midea facility. That's going to be a pretty significant training opportunity for you as well. So, all right, let's spend a little time talking about products. So if we think about our traditional classrooms, you know, we've really been focused on single stage and two stage, whether it was gas furnaces or heat pumps, air conditioners. We didn't spend as much time discussing inverters. And this is an example of what the future of HVAC looks like. Everything in here is inverter driven, and we have a variety of different products that we can talk about. And so we're going to start talking about different ways that we can introduce inverters and ways that we can become more comfortable working on those. So I'm going to head on over, and first we're going to spend some time with Victor Shu. Victor, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. All right, so when we talk about things that have transitioned in the industry, let's talk a little bit about modular construction. One of the things that is a very important part of products is looking at them from the installation perspective. There's oftentimes in our industry a void almost between engineering and the installation. And it's understandable. A lot of times an engineer doesn't get to see that final product.
Yes.
Well, I want to talk about this product line in particular. So come on with us. We're going to head on over here. We'll be in the distance a little bit. I didn't want to use that AI Zoom because the last couple times I've used it, it's just not worked very well. So we're going to show you some modular products. And I'm really intrigued with what you've done with a variety of modular components of the system. So kind of walk me through what we've done with this particular design.
So I first of all I want to go back to your question regarding the engineer design versus the real life installation.
Yeah.
So Midea designed this product not just for using the engineer mindset, but also we did a bunch of researches
Like
from
field research?
from the
Oh,
contractors saying,
okay.
hey, if, for
What could
example,
you use?
if you were a contractor, I would be like, hey, what do you think is biggest challenge for you to install this equipment?
Right.
And it comes in a variety of different answers. And then we just did a data analysis. So
Sure.
a couple of them would be the size,
Okay.
and then the weight.
Yep.
Those are the majority part of the
Yeah,
problem.
I can see that.
So that's why for this particular unit, first of all, what we did was we shrink the size, the width particularly.
Okay.
Because this system are mostly installed either in the attic,
Right.
or they are in the basement.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've dragged many of them through holes in the floor, through little bitty hatches in the attic that were never designed for the replacement of equipment, and you know that it's a lot of work. And so even in the coil, I'm actually noticing an M style coil here.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this M style coil is actually the key reason why we can shrink the width of the unit.
Oh.
So if we have an 8 core, we wouldn't be able to make the width. I think this is a 17.5.
Yeah, it looks about right.
Normally the size, if we use an 8 core, this would have be a 21. Have to be a 21 instead of 17.5 inches.
You betcha.
So everything, all the units under 4 tons, including 4 tons, we shrink the width within 17.5 inches.
Oh, really?
Only the 5-ton unit, because of the size.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that.
We made it 21 inches. Before, you will have
23 and a half or so.
24 and a half.
Yeah.
So we can shrink that down to 21 inches as well.
Okay.
Which will fit, I would say, I wouldn't say all of them,
right.
But like 99%
a lot of applications.
Of the attic opening,
yeah.
they give it 2 feet
yeah.
wide, right?
Yeah, because you think about a lot of those rafters that are 24 inches on center,
exactly.
and then you put in some trim, and then now we're less than 24 inches for sure.
So now for new install or retrofit, it's easy to bring units up or down.
Yeah.
Through the attic.
Yep.
And if you have a basement, of course, we match another reason we try to shrink this width is it can fit within your furnace.
Oh, okay, sure. So, your existing gas appliance space.
Exactly, that's more for retrofit market.
Sure.
And you may notice that we have the unit, a full unit this way, and then we have them separate in
modular, right?
And the fan motor.
Yeah, and the filter assembly.
And the filter assembly, yes.
Which is what really caught my attention. So I don't know if you can see from there. I will absolutely bring in some higher definition zoomed in photos for the post edit that I'll have done probably tomorrow. But that is what really intrigued me with this, is that it's if for those technicians that like having modular tool storage, right? They have the different boxes that all latch together to make one final component.
I actually have that.
You do, right?
Yeah,
so that's really what we're talking about here. So we are actually latching all of these components together so that they can be taken up individually. So I have latches on this particular one would be our modular. Oh yeah, there we go. Right, so this would be our actual air filter cabinet.
Yes, that's a filter cabinet, yes.
Okay, so we can take this air handler through those small hatches now in 3 pieces.
Yes. So another advantage of taking it apart is you can actually change a 2-person job to be a 1-person job.
Because you've thought about the weight size as well as the dimensions.
Taking them apart, instead of having 2-person carrying, the whole unit up all together.
Right.
You can actually just carry one piece up, then you come down, carry another piece up. And then you assemble it up in the attic.
Sure.
Or in the basement.
And I even noticed, so this is an electronic expansion valve coil. So we've got our EEV, we've got all of our thermistors. And, if we would think about that in the past, well, that's a lot of wiring, individual plugs we're going to connect. And no, I've got one interconnection between my EEV coil and the rest of my assembly.
Yeah, so these are individual connectors, but we then combine them all into one. Right. So that's when you disconnect the wires, instead of going one at a time,
individually.
There's just one you need to do disconnect.
Right.
And then you just need to connect it back in once it's up there.
So serviceability, say down the road someday, I end up having temperature thermistor issues. Now, I'm not taking the entire harness out. I'm actually just disconnecting those individual components.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's a big deal. That type of innovation is what changes our industry, and it allows us to create new products, to create new opportunities, and allows us to be a lot more efficient. When we look at the shortage of technicians in our industry, we're facing a pretty significant shortage.
Yes, we are.
So going forward, we have to think outside of the box and think about what our solutions are for making things easier on us in the future.
Exactly. Yes.
And so that's a lot of engineering that has worked with installers and said, hey, could we do this? And somebody went, why not? And that's what we got.
I have to be honest. I think the engineers really hate us on design because we give them a lot of hard time.
I bet. Could you imagine being the engineer going, what do you mean you want to put latches on it? Why do you want to tear it apart? I just want to build it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So that is a fantastic product that we can talk about. We can let's not spend as much time with the VRV. There's one component I really want to mention to people. I don't know if you can actually see it. All right. Yeah. Right behind our VRV, we can actually see, let me point that right there. Right. So that is that is almost a half side of a heat pump through window unit. Okay. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So it's basically, you can consider it as a split unit, but all in one.
Okay.
And we make it fit through the window size. So currently, right now in the market, a lot of window units, they are cooling only.
Yeah. Oh, most of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like all. I
Yeah,
think all of
I
them.
would say probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
unless you're on the
So
high end,
yeah,
custom 230-volt unit. But on our typical window units, window shakers, yeah, I've not seen any heat pumps.
a lot of I can't really say for other states, but for New
Yeah.
York, there are a lot of people. New York is pushing this electrification.
Oh yeah, yeah. We talk about that all the time. We're really in this mode of, and you can call it whatever you prefer: electrification, degasification, decarbonization. There's a lot of things that we can call it, but it really is about being responsible for our impact to the environment.
Yes.
Right. And so we're looking at product changes, we're doing refrigerant changes to be able to come up with new products. And I'm gonna see if I can't find a product brochure and actually show some pictures of that here in a minute, because it's a really intriguing item. It actually sits over the window, so we don't think about we just think about like a window air conditioner as a box. This is not a box. This is actually more
It's
like
a saddle.
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
saddle.
it sits on the window, and
Exactly.
you don't really lose your view on your window. You
Okay.
can literally close your window maybe like 70-80%.
Yeah.
It doesn't really take
Only
that
leaves just a
much.
couple of few inches just at the
Exactly.
bottom.
Yes.
So yeah, if you think about exactly like set of saddles on a horse on a motorcycle, that's
Uh-huh.
exactly what that heat pump,
Yes.
an inverter, variable speed blower heat pump is
Yes,
actually doing.
exactly.
Which well, I'm glad to see those products.
And it also
Yeah.
does heating down to minus 13 Fahrenheit, I think.
Okay, did you hear that? Okay, so when we start talking about the efficiency of heat pumps, if we look at our early generation of heat pumps, we were very limited on their heating capacity. And unfortunately, they did get a bad reputation along the way because of that. So now we're looking at window units that will go down way below zero. And you've been very active with the cold climate heat pump
We
product
are,
and
yes.
challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am fascinated by this because this was a DOE initiative to see what we could do with the technology and the equipment that we had, and then look at new innovations to move our equipment forward. And so in that first challenge, we were looking at the DOE, and Energy Star was looking at, okay, could we get at 5 degrees Fahrenheit, can we do 70% of its heating capacity and have a COP of 1.75 or greater? And in the past, we think, that's a lot of heat at 5 degrees. We've got a product. I'm going to see if we can zoom over here real quick, because this one's very interesting. Oh, it's not liking me again. All right, let's see if I can get it to lock on. And I'm not telling you all you're losers. I'm saying I'm locking onto myself. That's what the L is for. Let me go over here. We love you all. I'm gonna check the chat too while I'm up here. A lot of people joining in. Fort Collins, Colorado. Thank you so much. Tony Gonzalez in for a second week in a row. Thank you, sir. Garrett Middleton in Indiana. We got Paul Leonardi from South Jersey. Mr. Tom Tebby down in Louisiana. We really appreciate you. Katie Donahue in Hillsboro, Missouri. Thank you all so much. And if you have some questions, go ahead and throw them in, because I know we're talking about a lot of products that most of you have not encountered before. And we want to make sure if you have any questions, we can cover those while we are right here. Okay, I think we're good now. All right, Victor, let's, we're going to be at a distance. I don't want to put it in too far. Let's talk about this, right? We're used to seeing units that have a lighter shade of paint, but now we've got this new Midea Discovery. And tell me a little bit about what this is over here. And same way, I'll bring in some high def photos and enlarge those later for you all to see.
So this is actually one product that we designed for the cold climate heat pump challenge.
Yes.
Because in a lot of area where they actually, if you want to use heat pump, because heat pump doesn't really, just like air conditioners, it doesn't generate heat,
Yeah.
it transfers heat.
It just transfers.
So when the ambient temperature is very low, you are really limited your ability to transfer the heat. And that's why
No, you just keep talking.
Okay.
I'm just getting the camera over here for you.
Okay, and that's why heat pump in a low ambient sometimes is very difficult.
Yeah.
To produce to produce enough heat.
Yeah.
For gas or even like oil, you just burn it. Like doesn't matter how cold you are outside,
right.
you get enough heat. As long as you burn enough gas or oil.
Right.
But then for heat pump, so we participate in the challenge and we overcome those low ambient heat problem.
Yeah.
So we're actually able to achieve maximum at minus 15 degree Fahrenheit,
Yeah.
we can reach the maximum capacity can reach 118% of the rated capacity.
Isn't that crazy? Like, how do we do that?
With
Yeah.
a COP of 1.92.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're getting super low because we have people all the time going, oh, those new heat pumps, what are we going to do when we get below 0? What are we going to do when we get below -5? Well, now we're looking at technology that allows us to operate, and that one even has a stable operation down to -40. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I know we're not going to produce a lot of heat out. There's not as much heat in the air, but the fact that it can still operate down that low. Now, I've got my suspicion. Are we starting to talk now about vapor injection or liquid injection for the compressors?
Yes, we're talking about a term called enhanced vapor injection.
Okay. Yeah. And so for many of you in the residential and light commercial industry, that is going to be a term and an item that you're unfamiliar with. But it's actually something we've used in the industrial and heavier commercial refrigeration applications for quite some time. So what we're doing is we're utilizing the refrigerant introduced into the compressor in some form. Either it's through vapor or it's through a metered liquid device where we're actually assisting the compression ratio. We're modifying the compression ratio of the compressor. We're adding some additional cooling when needed. And we're getting a lot more performance out of the compressor at lower ambient temperatures.
That's exactly how it is, yeah.
Okay, and so that's what we're moving into with this. So this is a residential, I would call it an extreme cold climate heat pump.
We actually call it extreme heat.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Now, is this a one-to-one connection unit? Is this to a case coil? What is the application for these units?
So surprisingly, there are actually, yes, it is one-to-one, but surprisingly, we actually have 5 different indoor units that you can connect it to.
Oh.
2 of them are the air handlers, traditional air handlers, and the third one will be the A coil. If you want to have a dual field, a lot of people, they are like, oh, what if I got no power?
Yeah.
That's a possible scenario to happen, and if that ever happens, at least you have your generator, you can burn some of your gas, and it's totally understandable.
With a lot less wattage, just because we're running gas valve, motor, draft inducer.
So we have the A coil to match up with the gas furnace.
Okay.
And then we have 2 special type of indoor air handlers. One is what we call a pancake, which is a ceiling mounted ducted unit.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And another one is what we call a wall mounted air handler. That's pretty much the same with the air handler, but we make it smaller size and we make the front air return so that you can sit it in the closet.
I got that. Absolutely.
So there are a variety of applications you can utilize this type of unit.
Okay.
And we actually, speaking of the discovery thing, we have a discovery channel playing the sample project we did.
Yes.
It's called Project Hampstead.
Yes.
That's in Alaska.
Isn't that crazy? I've watched that. That's very interesting.
Exactly.
I mean, think about that.
How cold can we get?
A heat pump in Alaska, right? If we're going to do a challenge, doesn't get much colder. I mean, there's a little bit of room up further than that, but there's not a lot of inhabitants up there either.
Exactly.
All right. So I encourage you all to go check out the video for our new extreme heat from Discovery Channel video. And let's go talk about another product real quick. See if this camera follows us over here. I'm hoping that it actually does. Oh, you turkey. All right, hold on.
I'm going to hand over first. So,
all righty. I'll meet you over there. Yeah, it is just not liking me as well today. All right. So when we talk about applications that allow us to have a variety of scenarios for installation, we typically think about that as being a VRV product or VRF product. Commercial applications where we would have ducted air handlers, we could have wall units, we could have suspended units as well. But we don't talk about that a lot in the residential applications. And so many people have been deterred from that equipment because it was really in more of a commercial application, many times in 3-phase. And so we didn't talk about that for residential very much. But that's all changing. And it gives us so much more flexibility on what we can do with our equipment. So let's talk about this one and what we're actually doing for not only super high efficient, but also the variety of applications that we can do with one outdoor unit.
So let me start with maybe a very known term like a mini split.
Yeah.
That's basically a one outdoor to one indoor.
Yes.
And most of the time it refers to this wall-mounted
Wall-mounted
air handlers, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people really don't like this sticking out of the wall.
I get
So
that.
we then develop other type of indoor units that can hide in the house so that you don't actually see it.
Okay.
But in the scenarios where you have, say, like 5 bedrooms, right, and you need for every single bedroom you need a head,
Some type of source. Yeah.
and you don't want to have 5 different outdoors, hanging around your house,
Right.
or even on the ground.
Sure.
So now it's actually not a new technology. It's being out there in the world. So they combine actually all those outdoor units into one, so that you are able to connect multiple indoor head with just a sharing outdoor unit
And no branch box.
and no branch boxes. On the outdoor unit, they
Okay.
actually have the ports ready for you. They have A, B, C, D, E laid out.
Right.
If you have 4 units, you just connect to 4 different ports. It's like doing one-to-one installation, but with all outdoor at one location.
Well, what if I was wanting to use some miscellaneous indoor units as well as maybe a dual fuel, like on a gas furnace, or even an air handler? Can you do combinations of those?
Yes, you actually can. So all of these indoor units we are showing you right now are going to be compatible with what we call the multi-zone outdoor.
Okay.
So I can have one of the wall-mounted indoor in my, say, bedroom.
Right.
And then if I want, not a lot of people do that, but I can have a 4-way cassette in my living room.
Sure.
And then say I can have a ducted unit for my maybe basement.
Yeah.
That ducts throughout, like everywhere.
But still connected to a ducted original duct work.
Yes, for this one, it's a little bit tricky, but you can still have one. Say if you have a central air unit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And most of the time, if your duct is not designed properly, you could have this one room that's always cold or
Absolutely.
hot,
Right.
right? Even though everywhere else in your house is perfect, but that room is not doing okay.
Sure.
What you could do is you could replace that air handler with our multi-zone outdoor, then have one more indoor unit just installed in that room to adjust that temperature difference when everywhere else in your house meets the requirement,
Right.
but just that room.
Okay. So that gives us a lot more flexibility. So now we can think outside of the box on our applications in the residential world. And I don't know, we're going to try. We're going to see if we can get over to this, because there's one more item that I really think you're going to be intrigued with. So yeah, there we go. All right. So let's think about, all right. So I'm doing a multi indoor unit installation, and maybe I'm not sold on the look of some of these because maybe they're a little bit more commercialized for me. Maybe I want something a little bit more slim, but I've got an older home and it's got high ceilings and I'm going to be concerned with maintenance on it. Tell me a little bit about this.
Okay. So first of all, this what we call one-way cassette unit. We made the width special enough so that it fits within the joist.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So when you install, you don't have to cut any joists.
We can get in between the existing floor joists,
and then you're good to go.
Right.
And then, like you said, if you have high ceilings for air conditioners, you do need maybe annually or half a year maintenance
do some maintenance
to
on them.
either
Check
clean
the filters. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for the high ceilings, most of the time you have to grab a ladder, and we actually thought about that as well. So you are able to lower
Are you seeing that
filter.
What?
It's kind of slow, but you can just let it do the thing, and you do your work on other stuff. When you come back, maybe 10 minutes later,
it's already
go down
right
to a point where you can reach it, and then you just take out the filter, you clean it, and then after you clean it, you can put it back, and then there's one button. I know you guys didn't see it all the way down, but you can actually bring it back up again.
And how far down will that go?
The standard one goes down to almost 60 inches, so 5 feet.
5 feet.
But if you have extra tall ceiling, we can add it to 78 inches.
Oh, that's crazy. All right. Very good. Thank you for showing us that. And I hope the camera stayed over there. That was a little bit of a stretch for the AI side of the camera. Oh, that's a great question. Let's talk about that. I tell you what, while I'm working on the camera, that is a super good question. Who sells Midea? I'm going to bring in Dr. Susan to hang out with us while I'm getting this camera set up. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, Victor. Really appreciate it. This is great conversation. So let me get over here to my crazy camera once again. I just got notification for a software update. So you can bet that I will be doing that very soon. There we go. All right. So let's head on over here again. All right. Dr. Susan, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Fine. I'm going to move on to this side. There
Okay.
you go. That way the camera can grab it. All right. So one of the questions that just came in, and it's a very good question. Midea is really making a significant presence in the United States. And some of the distribution is a little bit different than we've seen in the past. Let's discuss ways people can connect with Midea products.
Sure. In 2024, this year, we grand opened our national showroom center in Fresh Meadow, New York.
Yes.
In here, we displayed all kind of products of Midea associated.
Yeah.
And along with it, we also have a training center. We providing contractor training, engagement with utility company, and engage different scholar and engineer visits.
Sure.
So we do see there's a new technology. We want to see the marketplace differently. We want this technology is accessible to every different walk of life.
I agree.
Because for me as a woman, sometimes I walk in the HVAC store, I feel intimidated. So from that standpoint, and if a homeowner doesn't know what's going to the house, is gonna have a hard time to make a decision with the contractor on site. So likely I will push to my husband. So for example, my husband gonna do the decision making.
Yeah.
So we want every residential customer who are interested in technology will be able to see something differently. So in that thinking, so we actually started from New York because it's metropolitan, a lot of population.
Absolutely.
Very international, different languages, different communities.
Sure.
So we want to have a different distributorship build it up according to the community.
A different approach.
Different approach. So we actually have a distributor in Bronx, Long Island, Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, where the community of Spanish speaking, and the Chinese speaking, and of course American speaking as well, English speaking.
Yeah.
So we want to cover all different communities together and have accessibility to the contractor and also homeowner who are being educated about the technology.
Yeah.
So with that, New York has been our first hub to expand it with showroom center, with our distributorship. But at the same time, we are expanding methodology in a certain way in the US as well.
And I love that because I've actually heard about this before, but I've never seen it myself, is that in the United States, we typically see a manufacturer to distributor to contractor consumer relationship. But in other parts of the world, the consumer actually has the opportunity to get to know the products, to actually see what they're wanting to purchase. I couldn't imagine getting a whole bunch of flyers for vehicles and going, which one you want? I can order whatever color you like.
Yes.
Is this big enough? Is there enough headroom? Because it has this measurement for the headroom in this one, or this measurement for the headroom in this one. But I don't have any to show you. This is what you get to see, versus actually going into a very, very beautiful facility and getting to know the product, getting
a test drive.
And you get to understand what the texture of remote controls are. You get to see the product. You get that physical perspective of, oh, I hadn't thought about that. I thought that would be much more of a projection off from the wall, or I hadn't even thought about something suspended in the ceiling before.
Yes.
And so you actually have a different approach to that.
Yes.
And so Midea is expanding its availability to contractors, but through distributorship programs.
Correct. Yeah. We still want to follow the same traditional way of how we break all different layers in the chain. Actually, we don't want to interrupt that, but we want to bring new concept into it. The interaction between contractor and the consumer, because we see this can go both ways. If in every industry, there's early adopters.
Yes.
So that's why David Ramsden, we will keep talking.
Yeah.
We always test drive the new car we are driving.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, HVAC equipment is the most, besides the roof, is the most expensive.
Absolutely.
Equipment. But we usually just leave it to let a contractor to do the work
to tell us
for
what
us.
they think is the best decision.
We actually have no knowledge of it.
That is
But
so
in
true.
every industry, there's an early adopter.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And those early adopter would impact contractor and to drive contractor to learn more, to know more, and then coming back to educate the customer even more. So this kind of link we see, oh, maybe we can do something different.
Yeah, that is very different. That is a perspective completely out of the box for at least for U.S. manufacturers, for sure. And so there's another thing that all of our educators that are out there are going to be very interested in. Tell us about ways that you've been working with local schools to help educators be prepared for these transitions, because many programs are not prepared for the inverter revolution and the A2L transitions. And I love it that our manufacturers are starting to do more with that. And so tell us about programs and ways that you've been working, particularly locally, with other instructors.
Sure. We actually been engaging with Long Island territory, where the trade school is being established for years.
Sure.
They're focused on electrical, plumbing, and HVAC, and they providing hands-on experience for students.
Very important.
A lot of students learn the book knowledge, but it's very important to feel the machine, how it shake, how it sound, how it making the motor sound.
Because these are different.
There's are different.
Variable speed is a different scenario.
And bring different stance into their judgment. And so we see that knowledge from the trees, and that needs a very different skill set. So we've been engaging with tree school, and also we are very happy. We recently made a connection with the SUNY, State University of New York. With a tree school, and we providing equipment to them to let them to get hands on the
get comfortable with the equipment.
Really, from the school level.
Sure.
But also we are engaging with the engineering school as well, because the engineering wise, we need to know more thoroughly about what heat pump technology can do. Yeah, because the engineers sometimes also have the methodology and books, but they need to know the machines as well.
We don't always think about that, of how many different aspects of our industries are going through transitions. It's everyone.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So no one is safe in these transitions. We all have to become better educated, and we have to learn the new products. We have to learn the different applications. And it really comes down to being aware of the products and having access to training and education. And that's definitely what you're doing here.
I think here it's a very interesting time of USA, because we know the heat pump technology has been really well adapted in Asia.
Yes.
But the thing is, once the technology come into the United States, it's a vast, big country with a market with a different climate, different application. The house situation is very different from the north,
different construction,
to the west.
You betcha it is. Yeah.
And so that's why I think all the manufacturers have been doing a lot of effort to create the different applications for different types of houses situations.
Yeah.
So I think we actually see the feast of HVAC heat pump technology
I do
in
too.
North America.
Here, yeah.
So we are really at the crossroad, and just similar to, I think it's similar to Airbnb and Uber. And every industry is facing a new facelift.
Exactly. You brought up a good point, and I would love for us to talk about that a little bit. Can you tell the audience a little bit about like heat pumps internationally? Because a lot of people here in the United States have had the stigma of the heat pumps that we introduced in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s that weren't very successful. But the technology that you're bringing into this showroom and into this training has really been around for a while. And a lot of other countries have adopted this technology as the standard. But we haven't really here.
I think it's a very interesting time. It's just, as I mentioned, in Japan, in Korea, and also in China, there's many people like in China, like experiencing room that household can walk into HVAC store to see what they're going to the house.
Sure.
It's a common, but not in the US.
Not here at all.
Not at all. But also here in the US, we actually, the heat pump technology is not new. It is something, it is new to us to adopting into the certain way of energy efficiency to the new level of understanding of it.
Yes.
And including how many applications we can really utilize. Now, besides heat pump, DC inverter, heat pump air conditioning, now heat pump water heater, and heat pump dryer, everything based on this technology being expanding.
Exactly.
So I think US is in Asia, as I mentioned, Asia started, but now we are having the feast in the USA.
I agree. You'd even mentioned like heat pump water heaters. I mean, you even have heat pump water heaters here in the showroom. So you've got a mix of about every kind of product that we could want to look at. And so we're going to have educators that are going to be looking for resources, that are going to want to reach out and have these conversations. So what would be a path? What would be a good way? Say I'm an educator in the audience right now, and I'm interested in learning more about this connection that you have here. What are some good ways that educators could connect with Midea and with you?
We've been very actively in the advertising, social media, and reach out to the audience and different class of layers in the society. We are passionate about the education as well. Myself, I was an educator, but in the music field.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I love that.
But we see that it's a very important. So we right now taking all the inquiries and evaluating by different states.
Yes.
And we choose the partners,
the best fits.
fit. And also we want to support them with the equipment. So Midea has been very strong in this gear and this direction to support North America.
Wow.
So we actually, I don't know if we have mentioned in the Kentucky Louisville, when we have our R&D center,
yes,
we are having $35 million expansion.
Wow. And that was already a pretty big facility.
Yes, but we are going to completely dedicated to North America, especially with America focused.
Okay, so that will be an opportunity for educators to start attending training classes, getting to be comfortable with the equipment themselves. I know, I'm pretty sure that David Rames will be at our conference in March. I highly encourage anyone from Midea to join us there. It's a great way for us to connect. For many of the educators that are on the call today, they'll be joining us at the conference. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that we connect the needy industry that we have, the hungry industry that we have with the right resources, because we all have to be prepared for this and get prepared very quickly.
Yes.
Because we've seen a lot of transitions. Like even if we just talked about refrigerant alone, you were mentioning that many of the product line has already made its own transition over to R454B.
Correct.
Right. So what all products will we see R454B in the Midea lines?
We will complete more complete product line from mini splits to multi-zone. For example, before we didn't bring everything from multi-zone to the United States from a regular heat and high heat. But in the 454B, besides the module air handler, we're going to have a multi-zone from 18,000 BTU all the way to 55,000 BTU, a complete line for regular heat and high heat to satisfy different climate zones.
Sure.
For mini splits wise, we're offering SEER 21, 24, 25, and even 29.
Wow. Wow. 29 SEER.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
But for EVOX family, we keep the generation 2, which is for the different replacement market.
Yeah.
For example, the pancake, we call pancakes, ducted unit.
Yeah.
And wall mount air handler, because those are the one for the very old, not very old, but like 3 floors and 2 floors, old apartment. Usually when they have the mechanical cabinet, and we can retrofit those.
Okay, I think, are we talking about this one over here?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's walk over. Let's see if this camera follows us. Oh, that crazy thing! I'm telling you what, this thing is going to end up going if it doesn't serve us well. All right, hold on just a minute, and we'll see if we can reactivate this. Hopefully, that's what that software is going to do, is start tracking better. There we go. All right. So let's walk over here and talk exactly about that scenario. So like for me, driving around New York today, I seen a lot of multifamily, a lot of applications that are probably still running R22 units that are going to be looking for some replacements. We're also going to be doing a complete roundtable and an entire lineup of classes catered to multifamily at our conference, and we're going to be doing a show in December as well, because the multifamily have a lot of obstacles to look at, right? Whether it is apartments, whether it's condos, whether it's hotels. So we have solutions that we're going to have to be finding for that. And I'm very familiar with the size of cabinet. And so tell me about this application.
This one, we are typically really target on for the replacement market for the old multifamily complex, because some of buildings are old. If you really have different new approach to it, it's going to be too much cosmetics to the building itself.
Right. I get
and
that.
too much trouble
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So many apartments actually have its own individual mechanical cabinets inside the apartment.
Right.
So for those, this is the one particularly for that.
Okay.
So they have a condensing unit on the roof. We were just recently in Illinois. We saw our project.
Mm-hmm.
They have a traditional condensing unit on the roof
Yeah.
for the cooling purpose. And inside the apartment, there's cabinets with old equipment.
Right.
So the owner said, I want to do the heat pump.
Yeah.
And so in this application, it allows you can still duct it out with a central duct
Right.
without too much of piping work. You don't touch them, and then air return in the front. It's especially for that application.
Yeah, absolutely. I've not seen a lot of that yet.
No.
And so this gives us the opportunity to now start getting into variable speed, inverter-driven heat pumps, even in our multifamily applications.
Because for this period of development, I think Midea is more targeting how do we offer a better solution. There's no one way of getting things done.
Absolutely.
So we try. That's the reason why we as a heat pump window unit was one of the reasons too. Besides try to work with the NICHAS program, but also just because too many old buildings, they cannot go through huge transformation of cosmetics.
Yeah.
It's a
lot of cost to completely revamp a system that may have never been designed for
the weights of the outdoor condensing unit, the structure of the building, including some of the building who built in the older time have asbestos problem.
Yeah, so
you cannot
no
go
drilling
through
through and wall penetrations.
Correct.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So
okay, so a variety of solutions.
So that's for the replacement market.
Yeah.
That's why EVOX 2 generations focus on being universal to the replacement market.
Yeah.
And here we call pancake, but it's the slim duct.
Yeah, slim duct system.
Yeah,
okay.
we have one project actually close to in the Midwest. They're looking at this application to fit in because it can fit into the specific space, limited space. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see that. And we're still talking high SEER, 19 SEER equipment. Well, I mean, is there anything that I'm missing here? There's so many products that
we have some unique things in the pipeline to coming in. I think by 2025, we're probably going to hear some new news of Midea.
Wow.
So
okay.
We are focused on North America because North America is a very important market.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, dynamics of climate, geography, zone is very different. Like in the West Coast, you don't have a basement. Here you have a basement. How you work out on that? And Long Island, you have a crawl space and you have a basement.
Yeah.
So there are so many situations.
Lots of options.
You have to focus on what will be the best solution.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's the approach that all of us are going to have going forward. You know, what is the solution? We can't do the same thing that we've been doing for the last 50 years. We have to do new things, which means we have new products, which means we're going to have new classrooms, new technicians to educate, and existing technicians to educate on these changes as well. So yeah, a lot happening out here right now.
And we are very excited. You know how many times when we talking with different professors for the trade school, when we said we will support you, we will give you the machines, try it and experiment, break them apart, no problem.
Right.
And they were so excited. And they're so, our students are so excited.
Oh yeah, new toy. Yeah.
New toy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you got the permission to break them, whatever you want to break it.
Okay.
So I said, break it, don't worry. And break it, put them back and burn something, make mistakes. Because when you're in classrooms, the mistakes are merciful.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You can make those mistakes there and you can learn from them so you can avoid them in the future.
No mistakes, no learning. So you don't know how to treat them in the field. And so that's really from the touch. Some of the old school is important. I believe technology is helping us to learn more, learning fast and learning more. But the thing is, the old way of touch and looking and hearing still
Nothing
so
important.
Like it.
Yeah, well, it's just like this facility. You know, when you first introduced me to that through the wall heat pump inverter, I thought, wow, what's this going to sound like? And then you listen and you go, I'm sold just by hearing it, because we get so caught up with this, not necessarily a stigma, but we don't know what that change is. We know that a change is coming and we don't know what it is, therefore we fear it. And then once we're introduced to it, we can overcome that fear. And in like a scenario like this, we go, that's actually really, really cool.
Yes.
And that's the kind of products that we need in the industry. That one alone is, it's very exciting.
Yes, we actually, when we have distributors who want to open distributorship in the local, they would really buy airline tickets and fly here to really want to see it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's
they
why
want to see everything first.
Yeah, I encourage anyone that is interested in learning more to come by and see us. Where are we located here?
We are in 158-15 Union Turnpike, Fresh Meadow, New York, 11366. Our locations, our phone number, and the email can be found from Midea's official website, which is mideacomfort.us.
Awesome. All right. And I'll make sure to put links to all that in the descriptions for the video and later. Are there any other products or resources that we'd like to touch? I'm going to double check our time, see how close we're getting, see if we've got any questions out there. Yeah, we're getting closer to the end. So the question came through, how much longer will we need to insulate line sets? We're probably always going to insulate line sets on both sides. We'll see that, especially in our heat pumps. We're going to need, if we think about it, we think about the energy that is lost in exposed line sets. We have a lot of exposed line sets in our industry that were never designed to be exposed. They were designed to be covered when they were installed, and they never were. And so we tend to add a lot of inefficiency to our systems, especially excess superheat when we have exposed rooftops. So insulation is probably always going to be a factor for us on both lines.
I agree.
See what else we got in here. And it said, please hop in there in our chat. We got quite a few people still hanging in, so I have a lot of curiosity of our Midea product lines. Anything else we want to grab here? That DOE Cold Climate Challenge has been of a lot of interest to me. Tell me about Midea's partnership with the Department of Energy in this cold climate heat pump challenge. Like, where did that all begin?
I think I forgot the exactly timeline.
Yeah,
but
it's been quite a few years.
Yes, because the DOE want to push out for cold climate. Not just actually, I think everybody was focused on the cold climate heating capacity.
Yes.
I believe in the overall direction for United States, we no longer just stay on the stage of, okay, this machine can work in the low ambient heating. But on top of it, what's the demand response towards the weather and also the energy saving?
Yeah, that's huge.
We don't want to just whatever it takes and waste a lot of energy to reach that temperature.
That's so true.
But besides reach that temperature, what kilowatts we are using on the machine is another thing, right? Because when we go to a lot of meeting from Energy Star and DOE, they're focusing on, okay, we want to do the electrification, but is the utility company ready for the grid?
That's exactly right.
So we don't want to waste a lot of energy and then just because, now we're going to put the stress on the grid.
Right.
So that's the initial more inside thoughtful things of what DOE is thinking about. So they push this challenge.
Right.
So low ambient heating and what's the energy efficiency about it?
Sure.
Right. So with that, several manufacturers volunteered, submitted the application, including being tested, volunteer, open for the DOE.
Yeah, we were just down at, Jason Abjute and I were down at Oak Ridge National Labs where they do a lot of that testing. And when we started talking about the initiative, they were very excited that manufacturers are stepping up and taking on the challenge.
This is a challenge because you just expose yourself transparent to the technology field and not just to the DOE, but your colleagues, right? Because how you challenge it. I believe technology like Tesla, you encouraging next person to...
It's competition.
Competition.
Yeah.
Healthy competition, always the way to advance the technology to the next level. I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I just sitting there looking at those numbers, I keep thinking about that. 118% of the rated capacity.
How could that be?
At minus 15 with a coefficient of performance of 1.92. So it is nearly 200% more efficient than straight resistive electric. So we're extremely efficient. I mean, we've seen coefficient of performance of our early R22 heat pumps that were running that 1.92 at like 50 degrees. So now we're looking at 1.92 at minus 15 with a very high rate of capacity.
There's many changes. I think it's also starting, there's a people and there's this profession, there's a contractor, distributors, and including, as I said, early adopter of customers.
Yes.
Start believing in this really work. Yeah.
Yep. Another question that came in, is there any solar equipment available? Oh, I know. I'm so excited about it. In my hope for our industry is that we start implementing more solar into our HVAC equipment, because we have completely that capability of offsetting some of our carbon emissions by using clean energy to be able to power, especially some of these inverter driven technologies. It can actually start at lower RPMs and don't require that full load capacity. So have you seen any thoughts or any ideas of solar introductions into the HVAC industry?
Actually, I know some of the manufacturers attempted to do solar HVAC in the past.
Yeah.
But every single new technology, when you come into the marketplace, you need to innovate.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to have the market. The market needs to be ready for it.
True.
So I always said technology need to be more ahead of your competition.
Yep.
But if you're 1,000 steps ahead of competition, the market won't understand.
Oh, that's so true.
So it's gonna be very interesting with how the time lined up. But I think right now the marketplace is ready for the next step.
I do too.
Yeah, I really think there's something gonna come up, but I don't know how many people really know how the large scale of Midea. Midea, besides have the heavy focus on the heat pump technology, it actually works on different industry as well. For example, energy storage.
Yes.
We have them. We have them for Europe market for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Just when the marketplace is ready in the US, I believe
we'll be able to
Midea
implement.
will be able to bring
So
it.
then we can start talking about solar. We can talk about energy storage, and
because Midea is vertically integrated. We are not relying on something else. We
Right.
are self-contained with the capacity of making things. So in our scope of structure,
right.
we actually have the Department of Energy, Renewable Energy of Solar Department, and also energy management system.
Wow.
So we do have.
So not yet is what I hear, but maybe down the road. That is a very, very good question. I really appreciate that. Okay. Oh, very, very good question. Do you need an account with Midea to be able to purchase equipment?
We actually, at this moment, we run with flexibility. If we have a distributor in the region, we let our distributor taking care of our account, establish
that
everything.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But if we don't have a distributor yet in that region, a customer or contractor, we actually want to be able to sell to contractor directly, because we can go through training and certification of things, including
nice.
warranty. We offer 12 years warranty.
What?
Yes. I forgot to mention about it.
Yeah, we can't leave that out. That's very important.
We offer 12 years warranty. So we rely on our distributor to make a registration for contractor.
Yeah.
But if a contractor are from the region we don't have distributor yet, we will take from our in-house account first, from our national office.
Okay. So they need to connect with Midea.
Comfort.us and will reach to us.
There you go. There's the answer for that one.
Thank you for mentioning it.
That is a very, very good one. When is the PWHP available?
PWHP, excellent.
Yeah.
We are expecting our first container to come in at the end of December this year. We are doing minor adjustment to make sure everything is going smoothly as we wanted.
Okay. Can you tell me about that product?
PWHP.
Yeah.
That's the packaged heat pump window unit.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's this one.
That's
modified version.
Little thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good question.
I got a lot of people ask for this. So first of all, the heating capacity, as Victor mentioned, in the -5, -13 functioning.
That's crazy.
Right? It's crazy, and also it can give you the window view back.
Yeah.
And the best part of it, I think, because New York has a lot of building similar to New York. There's many cities have similar old building couldn't go through, as we said, transformation. So by having PWHP, they don't have to change the electric power. 115 volt, ready to go.
Yeah.
And the second thing is no cosmetics. We don't have to go through drilling or piping.
Right.
But I still suggest to have professional people handling it, because this PWHP is heavier than the regular window unit.
Yeah.
Because it's a compressor. No matter what, it's a mini split, but shrink into one unit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I still suggest professional people handling to it. And especially it comes with one special bracket. So we want our special trained professional put that bracket
properly.
in the yes, correctly.
Good for you.
And so it will be balanced on settle on the window. So no cosmetics. The third thing, no condensate dripping outside to back.
I've seen that. Tell me a little bit about that.
That's a little design that we had patterned into. It's like a mist.
Yeah. So I noticed a nozzle on the exterior of this. So we assume have a float, or we have something to monitor
inside
water, and we get enough moisture. We're actually going to mist it to the outdoor.
Because when we are joined the competition with the NYCHA project, and that was one of the requirement, no condensate or any possible liability to become ice.
In low ambient conditions.
Correct.
I don't know why I didn't think about that, but absolutely, it makes complete sense.
But when I was approaching this unit and seeing everything in the sample units, because we actually installed 36 units in the Queenswood site for NYCHA building already.
Wow.
And run one through the whole winter, no problem. One through the summer. We went through the field test in actual building.
Oh, that's great.
I went inside one time and one of the attendants said, it's very hot. I'm so glad to hear
that.
Good.
Good for you.
That's the purpose. So we are very excited. We receive a lot of calls from different engineer firm and architect because they said they are looking to receive this unit. So myself is very excited.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so that is going to be a contractor installed product. So it still stays in the professional realm with contractors. I absolutely love that idea. Okay, well, we're rounding out the end of the hour. I don't see any more questions in there. Dr. Susan and Victor, wherever he ran off to, I really appreciate you all joining us today. There's Victor back there. And I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And I'm so grateful to be here. And I hope David gets feeling much better. We'll be doing a show later again. I'm sure sometime we'll go through deeper into the technology. But this was fantastic. I encourage all of you to stop by, take a look at this fantastic showroom, learn more about Midea, and we will see you all next week on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC show.
Bye. Thank you.